Welcome, foolish mortals. There's no turning back now.
Hello there, everybody. What's up? How's your week going? I hope you guys are having a great week. I know that I am, and if you're not, hopefully it's getting better today with the brand new episode. Welcome to the Disney Life Happy Wife podcast, the podcast where we talk about all things Disney. Disney parks, Disney travel, Disney movies, Disney products. If it's Disney, we're going to talk about it. I am your ghost host, Kristen. And you know me, if it's a Disney life, then I am a happy wife. Welcome to episode number 9, everybody. I can't even believe it. I say this every week. I'm going to keep saying it. I can't believe that, we're already up to episode number 9. This is so crazy. I love sitting here and talking Disney with you guys, telling you guys what I think. I absolutely love it. I'm super excited. And we are already up to episode number 9. Holy smokes, this is crazy. This is the last episode in single digits, so we will see what we can keep talking about when it comes to Disney. I'm so excited to be talking with you guys. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in. It means the world to me. And I know last week I had given a big shout out to a new listener. Her name's Brittany, and she gave me an awesome review, which I am so thankful for. She's amazing. And I noticed that I got another review recently on Apple, on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. And I had to share that with you guys. So the reviewer who left us this review, he gave us 5 stars, he or she gave us 5 stars, and it says, "Great Disney podcast. Love the name of the podcast and very informative." Thank you so much. I love doing this, and I'm hoping that I can be as informative as possible for everybody. That way, you guys can be Disney prepared, I guess. But thank you so much. I love that you guys are listening to the podcast and that I get to talk about Disney with you guys every week. So this is such an amazing journey, and I am so happy to be here. I'm just a mom who loves Disney, so I'm beyond happy that I can bring my love of Disney to all of you. So thank you for tuning in and for listening. It means the world to me. And since I just mentioned that I'm a mom, I am going to lead that into today's episode and today's topic. So our topic for today is I'm going to give you some tips and advice and tricks that I have as a mom going to Walt Disney World with my daughter. And my husband and I, we've taken Emily, I probably want to say it's been like 5 or 6 times since she was born. Her first trip was when she was 10 months old. So to say that we're getting to be kind of a pro, we're getting to be pros at taking, a small child to Disney, I guess is kind of an understatement. It's a lot of trial and error, and it's been a lot of, learning as we go, but, I think we've got into a good rhythm here. So I want to share some of those tips and tricks and advice with you guys. And I'm in no way saying that I'm an expert, and the stuff that I'm going to talk about has worked for us. So please take it, with a grain of salt, because what works for us may not work for you guys and for your young kids. And this is more geared towards small children, a little bit about babies, not older children. Emily's only 4 years old. She'll be 5 in December. And this is really just about, what works for small children. So older children, I'll obviously, in a couple of years, I'll be able to talk about what's best for older children. But for right now, it's kind of, the under 5 stage. So with that being said, I want to just jump right into it. If you want to know about must-haves that you should really have when traveling to Walt Disney World with a toddler, I do have a blog post on the Many Sides of Mom. Head over there, check out the blog page. It's, I think, within the first couple of pages, and you should be able to find that blog post. It's entitled "Must-Haves for a Walt Disney Trip with a Toddler," and the website is manysidesofmom.com. So head over there and read that post if you want to read about my must-haves for a Walt Disney trip with a toddler. But now that Em is just about 5 years old, I think we've added a bit more. to that list. So I'm going to jump right into my list. There's no order. Like, it's not like my top 10 last week. It's in no way, this is the most important and this is the most important. No. So we're not talking that way. But so number one on my list, the first thing I want to talk about is bringing a good stroller with you. Now, there are tons of avenues out there where you can rent a stroller in Disney World. They have stroller rentals within Disney. They have, so many companies that you can rent strollers. You can rent double strollers. You can rent a stroller for a baby that has a seat for a child. They have all of that, and it's very easy to rent one. If you don't want to bring one with you on the airplane, there's plenty of places that you can rent one. And Disney now has this really great offer going on. If you're staying at a value resort, they have this great kind of like welcome package, I guess we can call it. And one of the things is for a free rental stroller. And I think that's amazing. I think they should offer that a lot. So the first thing, big tip to talk about is strollers. Now, Emily is 4 years old. She loves to walk around by herself. Obviously, she's 4 and loves to explore things. But there are times where she's tired. And, my husband and I were adults and we can walk longer. And, we tend to forget that she is only 4 years old and she does need the rest sometimes. So having the stroller there is really great for that purpose. It's also really great because we can put things, there's a little cubby underneath and we can put things in that. It's really great for that purpose too. But you want to make sure that you have a comfortable stroller. Now, Emily in the past would get into her stroller and she would fall asleep and she would sleep there. And it was great. I love having the stroller. And instead of renting one, we bring our own stroller. We have a jogging stroller from when Emily was, before Emily was born. And we bring that stroller with us to Disney. It's, a big stroller. It's got, heavy duty wheels and it's super comfortable. It's got a tray that she can put things on. And I mean, she's by no means a baby, so she doesn't need the stroller, but it is nice for when she's tired and she doesn't want to walk, but we need to keep going. And it's nice for her to have that place to sit and relax. So I think it's great. We bring our stroller. It's a great way to save money when you're traveling with small children, to bring a stroller with you instead of renting one. And most airlines will actually do a courtesy gate check or a courtesy check of strollers and even car seats. And I know there are 3 airlines that we've flown with, that I've flown with personally, that I know do a courtesy gate check for strollers. JetBlue, Southwest, and American all do a courtesy gate check. I'm sure there are more, if not all of them, that will do that for you. It's great. You can just wheel it right up to your gate. They give you a ticket and put a tag on your stroller, and then it goes underneath the plane until you get to your destination, and they will have it waiting at the gate for you when you get off the plane. So it's really great. I love that. I highly recommend doing that and bringing a really good stroller. If you can't bring one, if you don't want to bring one, then I recommend renting one. Especially with young children, it's just easier and it just makes things easier. And with that being said, that leads me into my next tip. So we all know that it gets pretty hot in Florida. It's Orlando, Florida. It gets pretty hot. So the first time that we took Emily to Disney, she was 10 months old. So she was pretty much stroller bound unless we picked her up. And it was hot. For those who think, I'm going to go to Disney in October and like late October, beginning of November, and it's going to be fine. It's fall. It's not going to be that hot. Wrong. It is still really hot in Florida in October. It may not be as humid as it is during the summer months, but it's still pretty warm. When we went the first time with Emily, end of October, beginning of November, and it was, 90 degrees. if it wasn't exactly 90 degrees, it felt that way. So we were not prepared for that. You know, we packed the right clothing and she was always in the shade and everything, but we were not prepared for the heat. We were not prepared for any of that. And one day we were getting on the monorail and we saw another family going the opposite direction, and we saw something that literally changed, I would say changed our lives, but it totally changed our perspective when traveling to Disney World. We saw this family with a stroller fan, and my husband and I stopped them and we said, "Where did you get that? That is genius. Why did we not think of that in the first place?" And we made a note right then and there after talking with this couple to get stroller fans. And we went home and we bought them on Amazon, and it was the best decision we ever made. And they're not like super high power fans. They're these adorable little fans that are run off batteries, and you can just clip them right to the sides of the stroller, point them in at your child, and it just fans them. It gives them some breeze, really, while they are in the parks and going through that and doing all that. And it was just amazing. And we use them still every time. You know, sometimes we'll have one on Emily and one on whoever is pushing the stroller. So you know, more than M gets the breeze. And it's really great. I love them. I highly, highly, highly recommend them, especially if you're traveling in Disney when it's super hot. Get a stroller fan for your kid. Highly recommend it. So while we're talking about the heat in Disney and a good way to protect yourself from that heat and beat that heat is making sure that you are prepared for that. You always want to make sure that you have sunscreen. Very important. You know, I recommend bringing sunscreen with you, packing it in your suitcase, packing a travel size in your carry-ons. I recommend that. It's very important. And the sunscreen that they have down at Disney is pretty expensive. You know, it's kind of expensive. You want to make sure that you have that with you. So next tip, you know, beating the heat, making sure you don't get sunburned, make sure you have your sunscreen, and make sure that, you know, you bring a hat. You can bring one or you can buy one there. You know, it's a great souvenir. You can buy a hat for your child, buy a hat for yourself, try to keep the sun off your head and off your face. It's a good way to beat the heat. So besides, you know, stroller fans for your kids, you know, make sure they have their sunscreen on and get them a really cool Disney hat. Highly recommend those. And we all know that sunburns are no fun, especially when you're on vacation. So making sure that you have sunscreen on and a hat on is a great way to make sure that you don't get that. So another tip that I have, so we've talked about strollers and stroller fans, making sure that you don't get sunburned with sunscreen and hats. But another big thing is a way to beat the heat, and a way that you can beat the heat is making sure that you have a cold drink with you all the time. Now, I know you might be thinking, having a drink all the time. How do we do that without, you know, racking up a huge, you know, bill every day of just drinks? How do we do that, Kristen? Tell us how we do that. Well, I'm going to tell you. So my next tip is to bring a water bottle from home. Now, the first time we went to Disney with Em, my best friend who we went with and her family, they each brought a water bottle. And I'm sitting there looking at it like, why are you bringing water bottles? And after we went with them and after we did that, I thought, this is genius. This is like such a great idea. I am so doing this the next time we go. And ever since then, we have brought water bottles. I bought them, I think, the first year or two that we went after that. And now I buy water bottles from a store and I make really cool decals for our water bottles at home. So I do that. So you bring a water bottle and you might be thinking, well, what good is the water bottle? What some people don't know is that at every quick service and every, you know, snack stand that has a soda fountain has filtered water. Filtered, I'll repeat, filtered water. So you can just go up to them and ask, can I have, 3 cups of ice water? And they'll give you small cups of ice water. And, if I go up and ask for 3, and then my husband goes up and asks for 3, it'll fill our water bottles. And they're free. Might be kind of a pain to ask for so many, but they're free. And we'll get those and we'll fill our water bottles. And it's great to have a nice cold drink with you wherever you go. I highly recommend doing that, numerous times. And, people may get sick of just water. So we also tend to bring some little Crystal Light packets for my husband and I, and like a couple of like Kool-Aid packets for M. So you can kind of break up the just water with, one of those. I personally don't recommend doing that every time. Some people would, and some people don't mind, the sugar, but I think, alternating between is the best. And a piece of advice, if you're thinking, I love the idea of water bottles, a piece of advice. They make some great water bottles out there that are glass water bottles, but glass bottles are not allowed in the Disney parks. I will repeat, glass bottles are not allowed in Disney parks. So do not get a glass bottle. If you're going to get a water bottle, get a plastic one. They are, relatively the same price, if not cheaper than a glass bottle. So go out there, get a plastic water bottle, bring it to the Disney parks. So while we're talking about beverages, I guess I will jump into my next tip, which is Disney food and Disney dining. So a big tip that I can put out there, I'm a Disney travel agent, but I'm also, a Disney mom. And one of the things that we always do for our trips is do the Disney dining plan. And Disney has 3 different dining plans. It has the quick service, the regular Disney dining plan, and the deluxe dining plan. And they all vary in what they offer, but we have done primarily, the Disney deluxe dining plan. I recommend doing the deluxe or doing the regular Disney dining plan because both of those offer table service credits. And with the table service credit, you're getting a sit-down table service meal. And it kind of forces you to make, reservations and to be at a sit-down place every day. Not only is that great to have a really good meal in Disney, because sometimes, if you go and you're just trying to just get in, you may not get in. It may be an hour wait for a party of 2. And, while you're at Disney, but while you're there, it's kind of a bummer to have to sit and wait. So make those reservations. And if you're on the dining plan, it's kind of like, well, I have these credits. Why am I I'm not going to waste them. So I'll just use them. So with that being said, the dining plan, I think, is a great idea, having those table credits. And when you have those, it's kind of when you have the dining reservations because of the Disney dining plan or the deluxe dining plan. When you have those reservations, you are then kind of, I guess we'll say, not trapped, but you're then kind of destined to have an hour of downtime. And it's a built-in break into your day. So you're not just constantly go, go, go. You have that time to really sit and relax and chill out and get away from the heat. And I highly recommend, doing the dining plan, making dining reservations, and taking that break every day with your kids. I think it's really important. It's really important to get out of the heat, to take a break, to kind of just chill and relax. And your kids could be tired, and this is a real way to find out, how tired your kids actually are by doing this. An example I have of that is we had a reservation at Mama Melrose in Hollywood Studios on our last trip, and we love Mama Melrose. They have great Italian food, and Emily really loved it until she got a little bit pickier with her spaghetti sauce. So, we still love it, and I still love the food there. I think it's fantastic. But the last time we went, we had a reservation, and Emily was sitting in her chair, and the poor thing, she was so tired. And we could tell she was cranky, she was tired, but we really wanted her to eat. So we're like, just eat a little, and while we had the deluxe dining plan, and my husband and I both had appetizer, and that came, and Em had a little appetizer, and that came, and by the time between appetizer and entree, she fell asleep. And she was literally sitting up asleep in her chair at the table. It was so funny, and I felt so bad for her because she was so tired. And my husband and I, gobbled down our food really quick, and we got our desserts to go, and we just, my husband picked her up, and we just got on the bus and went back to our resort. But she needed that break, and she was just tired. It was so funny that it happened, and I couldn't believe it. So I've said, these are tips for going to Disney, mostly, for kids, for little kids, and having the dining plan is a good way to make sure that you're taking a break in the day. And it's good for children, but having those dining reservations and having that break in your day is not only good for your children, but it is good for adults. I know that I love the time where I can just sit and relax, and I know that I've got time to do that in my day, and I look forward to that. So I highly recommend doing the dining plan and doing, making sure you have dining reservations. Not only is it good for the break, but but a good 50% of all dining in the Disney parks is character dining. And having the dining plan, making the dining reservations, majority of the time you're going to be able to book a character dining or a theme dining. And it's one of the best ways to meet characters. One of the best. We do at least one character meal a day. And that's a good way for Emily to meet characters, especially now that she loves characters. It's a great way for you to meet Disney characters. So you're not standing in line waiting to meet a character when you could be going on a ride. It's wonderful. That's, majority of the way that Emily meets characters now is through, character dining. So I love that. Like I've said, I highly recommend doing a dining plan, making the reservations, and having a table service meal so you can relax, meet characters, and have a great meal. So it's highly worth it. I highly recommend it, especially if you're traveling with small children. So on to the next thing on our list. So this also has to do with characters. Meeting characters is something, if you have a small child, meeting characters is such a big deal. And it's something that parents, I think, look forward to. They look forward to, their child, meeting characters, meeting Mickey Mouse, meeting Pluto and Goofy and all of that. And I know when we took Emily for the first time, I was so excited for her to meet Minnie Mouse. Now, Emily had this adorable Minnie costume. She had little Minnie ears and a pink Minnie dress with white polka dots, and she had a little Minnie Mouse doll that had the same outfit on. And she walked around with that, and it was the cutest thing ever. And the first day that we were there, we had dinner at Chef Mickey's over at the Contemporary. And what should happen? We're sitting there at the table, and Pluto comes up behind Emily. And now Emily's 10 months old at the time. And Pluto comes up behind Em and scares the ever-living bejesus out of her. She was so scared. She was petrified of him. And she screamed and cried. And we couldn't get any pictures of her with characters that night, at least by herself. And I think at the end of the night, I got a group picture of me with Emily and my best friend and her son with Mickey Mouse. But besides that, there was no pictures of just her with characters. It was so funny. It took years, and I'm talking about years, with most characters. Emily has always been really great with the princesses, Ever since she started meeting princesses, she has been enamored by them. She loves them. I know I've talked about a great experience we had with Princess Ariel at Cinderella's royal table. Um, but if it's not a character like the princesses, and you know what I'm talking about, if it's like a Mickey or a Minnie, she was not about it for a really long time. And I would have to get up, or my husband would have to get up and kind of be the buffer between her and the character. It wasn't until this last trip that she really got over that fear. And now I'm more excited than ever to see her interact with characters. But that being said, my tip, even though you may be very excited for your kids to meet Disney characters, is that my tip is that you need to remember that every child is different. Your child may not gravitate towards the characters like others do. They may be scared. So you kind of need to assess the situation, let them know there's nothing to be scared of, assure them that the characters want to be their friend and they want to, get the hugs and get the love and everything like that from the kids, and make sure that they know that there's nothing to be scared of and that they don't need to worry. The characters are friendly, they're very loving, and don't be discouraged, parents, if the first time your kids meet characters, if you don't get the great pictures, if you don't get the loving pictures, if you get the petrified, screaming, scared pictures, especially if you have young kids. Okay, don't get discouraged. It does get better. So that's my big advice with meeting characters. Just be prepared, parents. Don't take things in stride when it comes with characters. Your child may be afraid, but just reassure them that it will all be okay. So my next tip, we just talked about making sure, meeting characters and making sure that you prepare your kids and that you assure them that there's nothing to be afraid of and all that. If you have a child that loves to meet characters and they want to meet as many as possible, you're in Disney, your son or daughter loves to meet characters, they want to meet as many as they possibly can. I know my daughter is like that now. And you need to make sure you're prepared for meeting characters. There are certain characters stationed in certain parks and certain places, so you want to make sure that you know where those characters are and where they're going to be and when they're going to be there. And I know there was one time we were in Epcot and we wanted to go meet Mulan, and it worked out that we were right around in China and we had a little bit of time to wait, but we got there and there was a huge line, and they were telling us, we were looking at our watches and we were like, oh, we don't have too much time, but we'd love to meet her. Emily, has only met Mulan once, and this would be so great if she could see Mulan again. And it just turned out that we did not have the right time and the right schedule. So make sure that you're prepared. Make sure you know where they're going to be and when they're going to be there, and that ahead of time, the timeline and that kind of thing. So that way you're not standing there waiting for a long time, or that way, you're not getting there and getting to where that character is usually stationed and finding out, oh, they're already done for the day, which has happened to us as well. We've gotten to, in Animal Kingdom, they have a spot where you can meet Pocahontas, and we've gotten there before and she's been done for the day. And that's a bummer because we love Pocahontas and that character interaction is really great. And it was just, a bummer that she had already left for the day. So folks, if you're meeting characters and you want to meet as many as possible, make sure that you're prepared. And that brings me into the next tip that I have, next bit of advice. So I say be prepared. How can you be prepared? Well, big tip, make sure you have the Disney apps on your phone. And the biggest app that you can get for traveling to Walt Disney World is the My Disney Experience app. And if you have a Disney account, all you have to do is sign into it through My Disney Experience, and you can, already see all your plans, see where your reservations are. And it's probably the best app that, Disney has put out in a really long time. You can go on there and check wait times on all the rides. You can see your vacation and your plans, your information through there. Where your reservations are and what time they are. You can see where attractions, characters, dining, and more are in each park. They have maps of each park, and you can see where things are and all of that. You can order food through Disney's new mobile ordering service, and some places, quick service and snack stand places have that mobile ordering, and you can do that. I told my husband already that we're going to take advantage of that. I'm going to be opening up my My Disney Experience app as we're coming out of the Enchanted Tiki Room, and I'm going to be ordering my Dole Whip as we head over to as he and my daughter head over to the Magic Carpet ride. And I'll be hanging out eating my Dole Whip while they're on magic carpets. It'll be great. You can also reserve dining through My Disney Experience, make Fast Pass selections, and you can do a big search for things through there as well. It's great. There's so much to the app. It's such a great tool. I think everybody who's traveling to Walt Disney World needs to have this app. If you don't, you're missing out. So definitely download that app. Disney also put out this new app. It's called the Play Disney Parks app. It contains interactive experiences for you while you're in the park. So certain things will have certain experiences and certain, trivia and all that kind of stuff. So it helps like when you're waiting in line and, you've got like a 30-minute wait for a ride. Well, you've got this great new app where you can play games and do trivia, and it helps pass the time a lot when you're waiting in line for rides. So we've talked a little bit about the parks. We've talked a little bit about dining and everything and all of that great stuff. But the next thing that I'm going to talk about is it may seem like a no-brainer, but, some people won't necessarily do this. I highly recommend, my next tip, I highly recommend bringing a backpack to the parks. Now, I know we've all seen the line going into Magic Kingdom of people that are getting their bags searched. That's for security people. It's amazing. Don't be down on the security. Yes, you have to wait in a longer line. Yes, you have to wait while they look through everybody else's bag and then yours. Yes, 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 you have to wait. But it's for your security. It's for everybody's security. I think that it's wonderful. I don't think there are times where they want to look through my stroller. And I'm like, go ahead. I've got nothing to hide. Look through everything. Do what you need to do. Send, my husband, daughter, and I through your metal detector. We've got nothing to hide. I think it's wonderful. But I recommend bringing a backpack every time. When you have a small child, it's always good to carry a backpack. You can put your souvenirs in there. Your water bottles, like I talked about, can go in there. Anything that you buy can go in your backpack. That way you're not sitting there with a bunch of stuff in your hands. I think carrying a backpack is just smart. And not only can you, have all that in there, it goes right into my next tip. So bringing a backpack goes into my next tip, which is making sure you have a change of clothes and a change of like a comfy pair of shoes when you're going to the parks every day. And so you bring your backpack. Something to pack in that backpack is a change of clothes and an additional pair of comfy shoes for your kids. I'm not talking about a change of clothes for you as an adult. I'm talking about a change of clothes for your kids. Now, traveling with small children, it's important to have a change of clothes. It's very, very important. Kids get messy. I mean, it happens. Or if, they're not potty trained, kids have accidents. If they're just potty training, kids for sure have accidents. I'm pretty sure my husband and I brought more changes of clothes to the parks when Em was potty training than we did when she was in diapers. And it's always important. I know Emily is not a huge fan of being like soaking wet. She doesn't like to go on rides where she gets wet, which can be a bit of a downer. But she She doesn't like to be soaking wet, so making sure that we have a change of clothes, shoes that aren't wet, that kind of stuff, making sure that we have that is always really essential. So I always make sure to have, full change of clothes. We're talking shirt, pants, socks, underwear, and different pair of shoes. And you want to make sure they're comfortable shoes. They're not shoes that are going to, give them blisters or just be uncomfortable while they're walking around all day. So make sure you have that. When I pack for our trip, I pack a set of clothes for every day that we're there. And then for Emily, for myself, I usually pack an extra one or two because I don't know about the rest of you ladies out there, but I like to have my options. So I'm kind of a big packer. But for Emily, I pack a change of clothes for every day that she's there. I pack, an outfit. We're talking, like I said, shirt, pants, socks, underwear for every single day. And then I will pack probably about 3 or 4 extra sets of clothes. So that way we always have a backup for whatever days that we're going to be there. And I will pack probably 3 pairs of shoes, all shoes that will be comfortable for her while she's walking around. Because the last thing you want when you're walking around is your kid to say that their feet hurt. And you put on their other pair of shoes and they're, oh, my feet hurt. Make sure they're shoes that are broken in and are comfortable, okay? So backpack, in that backpack, you want to make sure you have your change of clothes and your comfy shoes, all right? Very, very important. So while we are talking about packing, that leads me into my next tip. So this is going to be kind of an eyebrow-raising, controversial topic. And like I said at the beginning, these are my opinions. This is what works for my family. If you're not about this, don't take this tip. But it's what's worked for my family, and I know it works for other families as well. Pack power banks and small electronics for your child in case you need them. I'm not saying whip that thing out, whip out a phone or a tablet or whatever every time, you're standing in line or every time you're waiting at a restaurant. No, I'm talking about when you need it. You're in Disney World. You shouldn't necessarily need to be on your phone or, have the kid on a tablet 24/7. That's not how the world works. You're in Disney World, for crying out loud. But make sure you have a power bank. I know my husband and I always each have one. Have that power bank and your charging cords on you at all times. I like to have my phone charged. That way I can be taking the great pictures. And especially since I'm a blogger, I like to be able to do, videos and feeds and all that kind of stuff. So having the power bank with you can make sure that you have battery power on your electronics all day long. And, when you get back to your resort at night, plug that baby in, you'll be good to go the next morning. But having children, make sure to bring something like that with you. Here's my opinion on electronics. So we're going to kind of go off Disney topic for a second. We're going to talk about electronics. Here's my opinion. So Emily is allowed to use electronics within moderation. Like they say, everything is good within moderation. And my husband and I monitor what she plays and what she watches. She has an old iPhone of mine, so it's connected to my account. There is nothing that she could do that I don't know about. And we have it, password protected and all of that. But she has an old iPhone of mine and she plays games on it. That's all that she has access to on that phone is games. She's got, Disney Now, Nick Jr., PBS Kids, and she's got like PBS Kids games. She's got one, I guess we'll call it coloring app. And that's pretty much it. And that's all she does. She has no way of getting on the internet that she knows about. She has no way of being contacted by anyone that she doesn't know. So with that being said, I think her having that is okay. Her being able to use that and her being able to play on that when she has a little bit of downtime is fine, within moderation. So when we travel, especially to Walt Disney World, we bring her phone with us and we bring power banks to make sure that she has, the battery that she needs and all of that. If her battery runs out, well, the battery runs out. There's nothing we can do about it. She just can't use it then. But if we're at a restaurant, even if we have a reservation, we still have to wait, half an hour, 20 minutes, if she's hungry and she seems like she's melting down, then she needs something. I need to get her something so she's not freaking out. So that's when I will break out the phone or the tablet and be like, here you go, play a game. And my husband and I both have our mobile hotspots on our phone, so she can easily tap into our hotspot and play a game. And I think it's really a good idea. If you're not into letting your kids use electronics, then there are plenty of other ideas that, that can work for you guys. But I think having the electronics is a great idea. So, like I said, my opinion, if you're not about the electronics for your kids, then don't do it. But trust me, having something like that, having an activity for your kid to do when they're waiting and they don't want to color or they don't want to do something else or they don't want to play a game with you, having that really, really helps. So with that being said, let's go into my next tip. Now, Emily is not a baby anymore. And this tip is going to be kind of geared towards families with babies. So what some people don't know is that in every Disney park, there is at least one baby center. It may just be, that there's one. I'm not, of course, this is, bad Disney travel agent. I'm not sure if it's more than one in some parks, but I know that in Magic Kingdom, there's one right off Main Street. I know there's one in Epcot, and there's one in Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. So these baby centers really are hidden gems within the parks. They really are amazing, and I didn't really find out about these until Emily was really no longer that much of a baby. So the baby centers are great places for if, you need to feed your baby or you need to change their diapers. Give them some downtime. Let them take a little nap. I think that they are so great. And let's say, you take your baby to Disney World and your baby is having one of those days where they are going through diapers left and right and you thought you packed enough, but then you realize that you didn't. Well, in the baby centers, they sell diapers. They sell wipes, they sell formula, they sell food, they sell, diaper cream. Is it going to be a bit more expensive? Yes, I'm sorry, it is. But they have all that there for you. So, if you forgot it, there you go. It's right there for you. I think these centers are so unbelievably amazing. If I was going with a baby again, I'd probably take time every day to just kind of go to the baby center and chill out with the baby and hang out and, let the baby kind of chill out and relax and all that kind of stuff. I think they're great. They even have, I know the one in the Magic Kingdom has a little room where it's got a few toys here and there and they're playing a movie or a TV show for, the older siblings or for like the older babies, children that might be in there. I personally wouldn't bring, Emily into one of those unless I had a baby with me. But it does give, older siblings something to do while the baby is being taken care of. And I think that that's great. Each center is monitored by at least one Disney cast member. So you know that it is always clean and tidy and you don't have to worry about it being gross and dirty and anything like that. So I think that they are really wonderful. I think they should have more in every parks. It's a great, safe, clean environment, quiet environment where you can bring your baby. And I think it's wonderful. If you're traveling with a baby, you should definitely take advantage of these baby centers. Definitely, definitely, definitely take advantage of them. So with that being said, let's go into my next tip for you guys. And this one kind of goes without being said, especially if you're, traveling with small children. Take breaks. Now, I know some people think, going to Disney, I'm an adult, you might have a jam-packed day in the parks planned. Your dining and your rides and your attractions and your characters and your go, 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 go. But that's not what your kids need. especially, I've learned this, especially traveling with a 4-year-old in tow. Like, it's hard. It's hard for kids to be constantly on the go. They need the break. They are not an adult. They cannot just keep going. And, you may think, oh, I'm going to toss her in the stroller and, just keep pushing her along. No, they need time to sit and decompress and chill out. So make sure that you're taking a break. Go get some water, go get a snack, sit on a bench for 10 minutes in the shade. Let your kids rest. There are a lot of places around the Disney parks, if you just take the time to sit and look, to really observe, that your kids can rest and play. They're not standing in line. They're not, waiting on food. Just give them the time to just relax. Giving your child a break and taking that break will mean that in the end of the day, you are less likely to have a cranky kid. And when you have a toddler, when you have a preschooler, making sure you don't have a cranky kid is like the name of the game. They're there to have fun. You're there to have a great family vacation. You don't need the stress of having a cranky child on top of that. So take the break. A great way to take breaks when you're in the Disney parks is a lot of the parks, all of them really, have a couple of attractions here and there that are, we'll say, longer attractions. They could be inside, they could be outside. It's something where you can sit and take a break and you're not, just constantly moving. And with those, I know, Magic Kingdom has Carousel of Progress. They have People Mover, which isn't a slow ride, but it's, a longer ride. Any of the rides that have like the Omni Movers, which are the Doom Buggies or from Haunted Mansion, or the Clamshells from The Little Mermaid, any of those rides in Magic Kingdom are a good bit of a break. Those rides tend to be a little bit longer. At least they feel like that to me. You're not rushing through like you are with roller coasters or anything. In Epcot, they have Spaceship Earth, which I know right now is down for refurbishment. But that's a good one as well. And a hidden gem, I'll say, in Epcot and over in Mexico is the Grand Fiesta Tour starring the Three Caballeros. It's a great ride. And it's not like super long, but it's a very slow moving ride. You're in a boat, kind of like you are in It's a Small World. And it's a slow ride. It's not overly like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at this. It's very chill. I like it a lot. In Animal Kingdom, any of the shows are a great way to get your kid to take a break. And whether it's Festival of the Lion King or the Finding Nemo musical, those are great ways. And those are on the longer side of attractions. I want to say they're 20 minutes, 20, maybe 30 minutes. And it's a great way to just kind of sit and relax. The Finding Nemo show is inside. So is Festival of the Lion King. And it's a great way to kind of cool down and take a break. And at Hollywood Studios, they have the Indiana Jones show and the Frozen sing-along that are longer. I know if you have a small child, go to the Disney Junior Dance Party. It's in by no means a way to get your kid to like take a nap or anything, but it's a great way to get out of the heat and to rest. I guess a little, not rest, but to take a break. You're inside and they may be dancing around and having songs and stuff like that, but it's still a great way to get out of the heat and take a break and stuff like that. But a big example I have of how these longer attractions are great for breaks for kids is there's one attraction in Magic Kingdom that Emily used to fall asleep on every single time. It's the Carousel of Progress. Now, if you've been on the Carousel of Progress, you know that it's not overly exciting for small children. I love it. I think it's a great attraction. I hope it never leaves. I'm knocking on wood right now. I'm knocking on wood. Hopefully it never leaves. And I think it is just amazing. And Emily used to fall asleep on it every single time until the last time we actually went on it. She did not fall asleep. My husband fell asleep. We let him, snooze throughout the whole through the thing from when he fell asleep. And thank goodness he didn't snore. But with that being said, the longer rides are a great way to take a break with your kids, and a lot of the times some of these longer rides aren't ones that have a long wait time. So, you can go and hop in line and it's not like you're waiting forever to get on this attraction. So I think those are really great. I know when Em would fall asleep on the Carousel of Progress, we would take her off that and usually be able to transport her into her stroller, or we go over to the People Mover and go on a different longer ride. And she would take a good nap. I think there are times she would take an hour, maybe a little bit over an hour. So I think it's great if you have a little one, going on a longer attraction is a great way to take a break. So I highly recommend those attractions. They may not be the most exciting, but I think that they're great, and I think that they are definitely worth a look. So am I suggesting these rides because your kids will fall asleep on them? No, that is not why I'm suggesting the longer attractions. I'm suggesting these attractions because they are a bit on the longer side and they're a good way to take a break. My tip before this was to make sure you take breaks. These longer attractions are not good. They are a great way to take a break. A lot of them will have you sit down. And while they still capture your attention, you're still taking a break. You're still not, out in the hustle and bustle and moving around. You're on these attractions, on these rides. So I think that those are great ways to get out there and take a break from the hustle and bustle of the day. And just because Emily would fall asleep on the Carousel of Progress does not mean that your child will. Emily might have been a different case. So take those breaks whenever you can, however you can. They are important, not to only your children, but to you as an adult as well. And since we're talking about attractions and rides, my next hint is the rider/parent swap. Now, some people call it different things. I call it the rider swap, but it can also be called the parent swap as well. What some people don't know is that, if you bring a baby with you, people think, I'm never going to be able to ride these rides. You're a family of 4. Say you're parent A, parent B, preschooler, toddler, and baby. And you're thinking, one of us is going to have to sit out the whole time. Wrong. They have parent swap or rider swap. The 4 of you go up to the beginning of the ride, to the queue, and you say, it's the 4 of us. Obviously, somebody has to stay with the baby. We're going to rider swap. So parent A takes, toddler, preschooler on the ride. They go through the ride, get done. Then they come back to parent B who has the baby. Then parent B will swap out with parent A, and parent B and toddler/preschooler get to go on the ride again. How great is that? Especially if your child is tall enough to go on some of the bigger rides like the Barnstormer or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, some of the bigger, more exciting rides that have a height restriction. So if you can bring, your child on that and you can do the rider swap, it's a big hint. Definitely use it. I don't think we've ever really had to have a reason to use that. I think we did it on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train one year. My husband and my sister actually went on the ride, and I was with my daughter. She was too small to go on, and she was very bummed out about it. And the ride actually broke down while they were on it. So they ended up getting off, and I never ended up going on. I don't know if that was a good thing or not, because I'm not a real big fan of roller coasters. So rider swap. Your 2 parents taking your 2 kids and one of them is not big enough, you can rider swap. It's great. I highly recommend trying that. So we've covered a lot of ground. Last on my list of tips and tricks is souvenirs. It's something that we all do when we go to Disney. We all grab those souvenirs, and it's a big part of the Disney trip. So my tip to you, I'm going to make this a quick one. My tip to you is set a limit. Whether it's 1 souvenir a day, whether it's 1 per park, whether it's, a certain amount of money that your child can spend a day or for the whole trip, set the limit and stick with it. You don't want to have the spoiled kid who gets a billion things every single day, and then you have no room to bring it all home. So set the limit and stick with it. You love buying the souvenirs. That's great. Here's your limit. I know we do that with Emily. We usually stick to the, you get one thing a day and that's it. And sometimes we'll try to make her forget to actually buy something so we can get away with it. But set that limit and stick with it. It's great to buy souvenirs, but it does get expensive. Don't go broke just because you're in Disney. Set the limit. So those are my tips and tricks and advice for traveling to Disney with small children. I covered a lot of ground today. Today's been kind of a longer show. Usually shows are about 30 to 45 minutes, and we're getting to be about an hour at this point. So thanks for listening to all of my tips and tricks. I have tons more. I could ramble on for hours and hours and hours about my tricks for Disney. So hopefully I'll put out another show relatively soon, maybe after I go to Disney again, and let you guys know some more tips and advice for going to Disney with kids. So that's it. That's it for today's episode, guys. Thanks so much for listening to all my tips and tricks about traveling to Disney. I really appreciate it. So where can you listen besides, obviously, where you're listening now? You can listen to the Disney Life Happy Wife podcast on the Many Sides of Mom website, manysidesofmom.com, all one word. You can listen to us on Buzzsprout, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts or iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and Pandora. Lots of places to listen. So there's no excuse not to listen. I'll say that. No excuse not to listen. So go listen, subscribe to the podcast, give us a review. I love seeing the reviews and I love hearing what you guys think of the show. So go out there and give us a review, subscribe to the podcast. Where can you follow along with us? So you can follow along with me at on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So on Facebook and Instagram, it's the same. It's at Disney Life Happy Wife Podcast, all one word. And on Twitter, it is DLHW Podcast. Go follow us. Get all that good stuff that we put out there. Lots of information. I always post, when the new episodes are out. So go follow us. Go listen to us. Subscribe, review, all that good stuff. So if you need more advice, you have a specific question about traveling to Disney with a small child, or you want to know more, email me. Email me at podcast@manysidesofmom.com. Send me an email, send me a DM on social media. I will reply there as well. And let me know what you think, what your questions are. I will gladly read questions on air as well. So let me know what you think. You want more advice? I will gladly give it to you. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. I know it was a bit of a long show, but like I said, I've got lots to say about, tips and tricks for Disney. So with that being said, thank you so much. I will be here. So I will see you next Wednesday. Same time, same channel. Come listen. And that's it. So I'll see you next Wednesday, everybody. Have a merry